All right, pialino wan poyowan, namanti momachtice, tlenica, ome tlachihualistli, achtowi tlachihualistli, neki, wan teipan titlatose tlenica, tlachihualistli, Monequi. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the verbs Nequi and Monequi. First, I'm going to tell you about the verb Nequi, and then I'm going to tell you about the verb Monequi, which is kind of a special part, a special section of Monequi. Sorry, of Nequi. All right, so let me share my screen. Share the screen, and hopefully you can see the. Oh, this always happens. Oh, here, the presentation. So here we go. The presentation. Let me know if you can see it or if you can't see it. I don't like that it makes it full screen, honestly, because it blocks my view from everything else that I look at. Okay, so we're going to talk about Nequi and Monequi, which is essentially wanting and needing something in Nahuatl. And you're going to see that Monequi has its own special rules. Okay, so first we're going to be learning how to use the verb Nequi. And then I'm going to teach you a little bit about the future tense. I know I told you I was going to focus on the present tense, but because of the way that the verb Nequi works, I have to use the future tense. Okay, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about making requests. Last week, I know I didn't have students last week, and last week I had a lecture that I uploaded on my YouTube, and I gave you a very long explanation. And then towards the end of the class, I explained about how to make requests. And so today I'm going to go into more detail about how to make requests and how some requests are different than other requests, and when you use the future tense and when you use the command form of a noun. Of a verb. And then at the end, we're going to learn how to use Monequi. Okay. So first, we're going to start with
Tlamastique, amo Nikita the slides.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see. I don't know what's. Is it frozen or you just don't see it at all?
I just don't see it at all.
Okay. I'm sharing the wrong screen, it turns out. Now, do you see it?
Kema Nikita.
¿Cuál tiquita? Okay, ¿cuál? Okay, inin tlacuali. Okay, tlacuali. Inin itoca tlacuali. Okay, sihuatl quinequi tlacuali. Inin sihuatl quinequi tlacuali. Inin atl. Okay, inin tlacatl quinequi atl. Let me change it to this one. Inin tlacatl quinequi atl. Okay, so I'm going to say it again. It's only for a review. It's not even that hard, honestly. But inin tlacuali, inin sihuatl quinequi tlacuali, inin atl, wan inin tlacatl quinequi atl. Okay, so far that is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The verb nequi is basically want. So you see the woman, she desires that food, and then the man, he desires that water. And so nequi is basically how you would say I want. And so this is pretty easy, nothing too hard about saying I want. So you say ni, I, k, it, nequi. And then you put the verb, you put the noun, tlacuali. So you say nequi, tlacuali. I want food. That is pretty simple, right? This k is referring to the tlacuali. The it that you want is the food. So that's the k. So in Nahuatl, essentially what you're saying is, I want it, the food. Okay, so this k is referring to the tlacuali. If we weren't to have the word tlacuali there, it would just be nequi, and it would translate as, I want it. But in Nahuatl, this verb nequi, as you saw in the previous lecture, is one of those transitive verbs. It requires you to always say what you want, indicate that you want a specific thing. So here we're saying nequi, I want it, and I'm saying food, tlacuali. Okay. So nequi with nouns is pretty simple. It's exactly how you would expect it to be used with basically any verb. So if I want to say all these different forms of nequi, you're going to say them like this. Nequi at, I want water. Nequi at, you want water. Nequi at, he or she wants water. Notice it's Nequi, because if you were to just say Nequi, it wouldn't really sound right. So we have to add the I to make it sound right. Nequi, he or she wants water. Nequi, we want water. Nequi, y'all want water. And Nequi with an H, they want water. So really the only thing with the, basically this verb is acting exactly how you would expect it to act. So nothing too difficult, right? But, okay, so now I'm gonna give you more examples. Inin siwat tlaqua, okay? You should know this verb by now. I've been using it like multiple times in multiple lessons. So, and if you don't, you can tell by the picture. So inin siwat tlaqua, okay? But if you wanna say, if you wanna talk about this girl now, you would say siwat kineki tlacuas. So now she's thinking about doing tlacua, right? So she would say siwat kineki tlacuas. Okay, notice what I'm adding at the end. Okay, so inin tlacat tlaoni. Inin tlacat tlaoni. So tlaoni, okay. Now tlacat, inin tlacat kineki tlaonis with the Z. Well, it's pronounced like an S basically, so it's tlaonis. Inin tlacat kineki tlaonis. Okay. So now when you have multiple people, if you're talking about these people here, you would say masewalme kineki. Notice I'm changing it to an H because it's more than one person. And then we're going to change it to tlacuase. Okay, so masewalme kineki tlacuase. And notice the weird spelling of tlacuase. It's tlacuas with the which you saw previously, but then we have the CEH, but we're going to pronounce it as tlacuase. Now you might ask me, why is the spelling so freaking weird? And I agree with you, it is weird. And the reason is because other varieties, they don't say tlacuase, they say tlacuasque. So this writing system was developed to be this way so that it would look easier for other varieties of Nahuatl speakers. If they were to read it, that they would know that this was in their variety tlacuasque. So like Guerrero would say masewalme kineki tlacuasque. But we say tlacuase in the Huasteca region. But other varieties might say tlacuasque. So that's why it's kind of written weird. But really, in our variety, we would pronounce it as tlacuase. So masewalme kineki. So they're the ones that want it. And what do this ki is referring to the thing that they want, which is the tlacuase. And what they want to do is eat, right? And we had to change it, both of these forms, for the plural, okay? So now if we want to say that these people are thinking about doing this action, tlaoni, we would say masewalme kineki tlaonice. Masewalme kineki tlaonice. So this is very similar to tlacuase. All we're adding is this tlaonice, this se. Okay, so essentially with nouns, if you want to say I want water, you say Nequi at. That's easy. But when you have two verbs next to each other with the verb Nequi, you're going to change the second verb. Okay, so if you want to say I want to eat, you're going to say Nequi, and then you're going to say ni tlacuas. So you're going to say ni, Nequi, I want it. So you're going to keep that same structure for I want water. But now what you got to notice is that you're going to have to again state ni and then tlacua, which you should know means to eat. And then we're adding this this z, which is the future tense of the verb. If we were to take this verb and just say ni tlacuas, that's how you would say in the future, I will eat ni tlacuas. So the future tense in Nahuatl is actually pretty simple, which is why I incorporated it to this lesson. It's actually not that difficult. So in Nahuatl, you just add the Z and it's future tense. So ni tlacua, I eat. Ni tlacuas, I eat. I will eat. Some people might, you might be wondering, like, why do they use the future tense in this situation? It's because really this ni tlacuas is talking about an uncompleted action. So there are other situations in which you would use this word ni tlacuas, and it's referring to something that hasn't yet happened, that's incomplete. And so like here, when we're saying I want to eat, you're saying that you want to do something, but if you really think about it, that something is not complete yet. It's something that's kind of in the future. So now what puts it in the future tense? So Nequi ni tlacuas means I want to eat, and that to eat part is not completed, and therefore now what puts it in the future tense. But if we were to take out Nequi, it would just mean I will eat. Okay, cuale. So if you want to make this plural, you want to say we want to eat, we would change the beginning, right? We would go, it wouldn't be Nequi anymore, it would be tikneki, right? The ti for we, the k for it, and then the neki for want. The thing that we want is to eat. So this it that is we're talking about is the eating part, right? Tikneki, the thing that we want is to eat. And then again, we're gonna have to repeat the we part. So ti, that's the ti. And then the tlacua, to eat things. The real verb here is qua. Qua means to eat. And then things is tla. So really in Nahuatl, when you're saying to eat, you're saying to eat things. Okay, if you wanted to say something specifically like I want to eat a fish, you would say niqua or niquas. You would put a k there, I want to eat it. But here, because we want to say we want to eat in general, we say titlacua. And then we're going to put that verb in future tense because it's an incompleted action. So it'd be titlacuase. So to say now what we want to eat, we would say tikneki titlacuase. Tikneki titlacuase. So the only real new thing here for you is the fact that we have this verb in the future tense and the fact that you have to repeat the person. So here we're saying we, and here we have to say we again. And that's just the structure of the word. I put that H there just to emphasize that, you know, this T and this H is really what makes it a we part. If we were not to have the H there, it would be you want. But here we're saying we want, so it's tikneki. Tikneki titlacuase. Tikneki titlacuase. We want to eat. All right. So essentially, when you use Nahuatl with verbs and you want to say, I want to do this, I want to do that, all you really need to do is change that second verb and add a Z to it if there's one person. So if I'm going to say, I want to eat, it would be Nikneki titlacuas. You want to eat, Tikneki titlacuas. He or she wants to eat, Kineki tlacuas. So notice there's nothing here in front, right? Because when he or she does something, we don't put a prefix there. So we say kineki tlacuas. He wants to eat. Ooh, I put it there, but it really should be he wants to eat. So that's a typo that I need to change. Okay. And then for the other ones, tikneki titlacuase. We want to eat. So all the ones that are on the right, these are all the plurals. Meaning more than one person is doing the action. So that's why we're adding se to it. So tikneki titlacuase, inkineki intlacuase. Notice that this one has inkineki and then this is intlacuase, because here when we say y'all want something, we're saying y'all want it. The it that we want is to eat. And then here we're saying to eat, but we're not saying a specific thing that we want to eat. So we're just keeping it as in tlacuase. If we want to say we want to eat the fishes, we would say, I'm sorry, y'all want to eat the fishes, we would say inkineki inkikwase, inkineki inkikwase, well, fishes, or the fish would be michin. So inkineki inkikwase michin, y'all want to eat the fish, y'all want to eat the fishes would be inkineki inkin kwase michime. Okay, kineki tlacuase, they want to eat. All right, so it's pretty simple, pretty much. In Nahuatl, you put the verb I want, and then you put the second verb in the future tense. So nikneki ni tlacuas, pretty simple. Oh, and yeah, this slide is just to emphasize that the reason you put the k is because you're talking about the whole noun, the whole verb. The thing that I want, the it that I want is this whole thing of eating. The reason I put this slide is because a lot of people say, well, why do I say Nequi? What does the k represent? When I say I want it, what is the it that I want? And the it that you want is the tlacuas, the eating part. Okay, same thing with we want to eat. It's going to be we want to eat in the future. Tikneki titlacuase, the same thing applies. The it that you want is the titlacuase. Okay, so essentially, I pretty much taught you what the future tenses are in Nahuatl. So the future tense in Nahuatl happens to be one of the easiest tenses, and that's why I put it in this lesson. And even though I wasn't supposed to, because I said I was only going to keep it in the present tense, we kind of need the future tense to say, I want this, I want to do that, I want to do, etc. So Nahuatl is actually pretty simple. All you're going to do is add the Z if it's one person, and that add the se if it's more than one person. So ni tlacuas, I will eat. Titlacuas, you will eat. Tlacuas, he will eat. Titlacuase, we will eat. Depending on your variety, you might say titlacuasque, intlacuase, and tlacuase, or tlacuasque, or antlacuasque, etc. It depends on which variety of Nahuatl you speak. So now I'm going to ask you to unmute your microphone, and hopefully I did my job and you learned what I just taught you. So how would you say que nihki moilia y Nahuatl, I want to drink?
Nequi ni tlaonis.
Quali, Well, you kind of mispronounced the drinking part, but yes. Nequi ni tlaonis. Quali, So it's ni tlaonis. So this tla is saying things. Okay, well, I'm about to break it up. Nequi, I want it, right? And then ni tlaonis. So you're really saying, I want to drink things. If you wanted to specify what you wanted to drink, you could put that here, but we'll talk about noun incorporation later. Ooh, sorry, my camera's falling up for some reason, so hold on. All right, it's stable, it looks like. We'll see. All right, Wali. And then we're adding the Z to put it in the future tense. Wali, keniki moilia, you want to drink.
Nequi tlaonis.
So you said Nequi. Nequi means I want.
Tiknequi.
Wali. Tiknequi titlaonis. So we're just gotta change the beginning part. So tik for you. So ti, you want it. Tiknequi. Ooh, I need to change that. That should be a ti. Titlaonis. Tiknequi titlaonis. So I made an error. It shouldn't be nitlaonis. That doesn't make sense. So tiknequi titlaonis. Okay. Oh, sorry. Well, now you know the answer. Kaniki Moilia, she wants to drink.
Kinequi tlaonis.
Quali. So it'd be kineki tlaonis. So here, when you're talking about a third person, if you remember in the third person, we don't usually have a prefix. So when you say he or she wants something, you're gonna be left with the verb nequi and the it part, right? So when you say she wants it, we're gonna say nequi, and then we're gonna say nequi, right? But you can't say nequi. So you say kineki, which sounds better and easier. So for she, there is no prefix here, but she wants it, so it'd be kineki. And the thing that she wants is to drink. And because she is also a third person, there's also not a prefix there for the drinking part. But then for the drinking part, we're gonna put tlaonis, but no prefix for he or she. And then we're gonna keep it as future tense because we're saying she wants to drink. Kineki tlaonis. Okay, ¿cuál? Keniki moilia, we want to drink.
Tiknequi titlaonise.
¿Cuál? Tikneki titlaonise. We want to drink. Tikneki titlaonise. ¿Cuál? So it's pretty much the same as the tikneki, but with an H here, tikneki, because we're the ones that want it, so it'd be tikneki. And then titlaonise, same thing, except that now it's going to be titlaonise. ¿Cuál? Y'all want to drink?
Inkineki intlaonise.
¿Cuál? Inkineki intlaonise. Inkineki intlaonise. Y'all, it, want, and then y'all, things, drink, future. I broke these all down not because I want to be annoying, but because later on, if you're not getting the lesson like here and there, or you're not getting it now, you could always look at it back later. Which I'm gonna fix the typos too, because I'm constantly changing I'm seeing if I make errors on the slides, and I did. But anyways, I'm gonna change the slides to not have errors, and essentially you can look at this later and then be like, okay, now I get it, because I try to break it down step by step, because when I first learned Nahuatl, I was like, oh my God, these words are long, what the heck? But I feel like with these arrows, you could pretty much see where every part lies of every verb. And so later on, you could look at it and figure out how to construct these sentences. Wally, they want to drink.
Is it kinekia tlaonise?
Wally, yes. Kena. Okay. Kineki tlaonise. So when it's talking about they, for they, there is no prefix because it's a third person. Just he and she, and they, there's no prefix. So you don't put anything there. The it would be k, right? But then you're going to say kineki, and kineki sounds weird. So we change it to kineki. And then we're going to have an H because it's about they. So it's kineki with an H. And then when you say they want to drink in the future, they will drink, it would be tlaonise. And for they, again, there's no prefix. The verb is tlaoni, to drink things. And se is the future tense. So tlaonise is also they will drink. But kineki tlaonise is they want to drink. Wali. All right. So one thing that I want to point out is that so far I've only taught you when a person wants to do something, like the same person wants to do something. Okay, they request something of themselves, like I want to drink, you want to drink. The same person that's requesting is the same person that's carrying out the action. But then there are other situations where you want to say, I want you to eat. So I'm asking you to eat, right? I want you to drink, and I want you to learn. So now the person that's requesting me, I'm different from the person who I want to carry out the action, okay? So there are certain requests to yourself, and there are requests to someone else. And so Nahuatl treats these differently. Previously, in the last lesson, what we were just talking about, it was like, I want to drink. We were using the future tense. We're saying Nequi ni tlacuas. I want to eat, right? Nequi ni tlacuas, future tense. I want to drink. Nequi ni tlaonis. And if we were to say, I want to learn, we would say Nequi ni momachtis. Notice that this verb machtia, it ends in ia, right? But then I'm taking away the a, like I normally do in like even in the commands, and it momachtia becomes momachti before you add the z. So momachtia becomes momachtis. Okay, so nigneki ni momachtis. I want to learn. Okay, those are when you're requesting something to yourself. But now what does something different when you request somebody else to carry out that action? If you look back in the previous lesson 14, no, not the Q&A. So this is 16. So yeah, lesson 14, which is not the Q&A section, the previous section lesson, I taught you how to give people commands. It was all about giving commands. I think lesson 13 and lesson 14 were just about commands. Well, when you're asking or you're requesting for somebody else to do that action, you're not going to use the future form of the verb. You're going to be using the command form of the verb. So here, if I'm asking you to eat, I want you to eat, I'm requesting somebody else to do something, I'm going to be using the command form. So the command form of, hey, you should eat, like in the previous section, you should eat, I say it was xitlacua, right? So if you want to say, I want you to eat, you're going to use the command form. You're going to say, nigneki xitlacua. And that translates as, I want you to eat. This xitlacua taken by itself without the nigneki would just mean eat, like as a command, like you should eat, like eat. Nigneki But adding the Nequi xitlacua, now it says, I want you to eat. So you can kind of see like, I'm making the request, but I'm kind of giving you it as a command. But in Nahuatl, this is how you say, I want you to eat. And this is when the person who's requesting is different from the person who's going to carry it out, who's actually going to do it. Okay, so so if you want to say, I want you to drink, instead of I want to drink, I would say, Nequi tlaoni. Okay, tlaoni by itself means drink. That's a command. Do this, drink. But now that I'm saying I want you to drink, I'm going to put the Nequi in front of it. I'm going to say, Nequi tlaoni. I want you to drink. So even though it's not really a command, it's kind of an indirect command. I'm kind of saying like, I kind of want you to do this, but I'm being kind of passive aggressive and indirect. So this is kind of, I believe even in English, this is like an indirect command. But that's why you're using the command form of the verb after the second one. Okay, if I want to say I want you to learn, I would say Nequi shimomachti. So if I just use the word shimomachti, I'm saying learn as a command. I'm telling you learn. But now when I say I want you to learn, I'm gonna say Nequi shimomachti. I want you to learn. Okay, so it is different when you're commanding somebody else. So let me give you more examples. If you remember from lesson 13 and lesson 14, the she form, the command form, is only given to you or to y'all. So if I tell you to drink, I would say tlaoni. If I tell y'all to drink, it's tlaonikan. But when I'm giving commands to other people, like I want him to drink, he should drink, she should drink, or we should eat, or if it's they should eat, in those cases when I'm giving an indirect command to other people that is not you and y'all, we use this other form, which is the ma. Okay, the ma form. Okay, so in these cases, when I'm saying I want him to eat, the command form of he should eat would be ma tlacua. And that's why when I want to say I want him to eat, I'm going to use that command form. I'm going to say Nequi ma tlacua. I want him to eat. Nequi ma tlacua. I want him to drink. Nequi ma tlaoni. And I want him to learn. Nequi ma momachti. If I were to remove this Nequi from all of these ma tlacua would translate as may he eat, or he should eat, or let him eat, something like that. In Spanish, it would be something like que coma. And if I remove it from Nequi ma tlaoni, it would be que beba, may he drink, he should drink, or let him drink, something like that. And Nequi ma momachti, if we just said ma momachti, it would be like may he learn, he should learn, let him learn, something like that. In Spanish, it would be like que aprenda. So in Spanish, it's actually clearer. If you speak it, you would just substitute the ma for a que. It would be like que aprenda, or que coma, que beba. It's that same sense that the ma has. And you could even translate these in Spanish as like quiero que coma, quiero que beba, quiero que aprenda. So this ma is really this, which is kind of a command form, is kind of what the subjunctive is in Spanish. Okay. If you don't speak Spanish, unfortunately, I can't really explain it as well. But if you do speak Spanish, that might help you. You substitute the word ma for que. And then it's easier, like quiero que coma, quiero que beba, quiero que aprenda. But in English, it would be like, I wish that he would do this. I wish that he would do that, etc. Okay. All right. So basically from episode 14, I taught you these 6 forms of should. Mani tlacua, I should eat. Xitlacua, you should eat, or eat as the command. Matlacua, he or she should eat. Matitlacuacan, we should eat. Xitlacuacan, y'all should eat or eat. And matlacuacan. All these command forms, you can use them with Nequi right in front of them. And then it means I wish, or I want you to do this, or I want him or her to do that. Obviously, the only one you wouldn't use would, if you want to say I want myself to eat, you wouldn't say Nequi mani tlacua. That would not be correct. Because when you're the person who's commanding it and you're the one who's going to carry it out, we would use the future tense. So we say Nequi ni tlacuas, like we were learning. But for everybody else, aside from me, if I'm the one that's requesting it, it would be Niqui xitlacua, I want you to eat. Niqui matlacua, I want him or her to eat. Niqui matitlacuacan, I want us to eat. Niqui xitlacuacan, I want y'all to eat. And Niqui matlacuacan, I want them to eat. I know that's, that's very, I don't know why, anyways, I know that that's very heavy. And I know that this class is very grammatical, so but bear with me. Essentially, you got to think when you're using, whether you're going to be using the future tense or the command form of the verb when you're saying that somebody wants something. So here, if we want to say he wants me to eat, okay, all of these requests that I wrote here are requests where the person who wants it and the person who is actually going to carry it out are two different people. So he wants me to eat. He wants the thing, and I'm the one that's going to eat it, right? So when these situations occur, when they're two different people, that's when you're going to be using the command form. So here I give you all 6 of these possibilities. So if you notice, when you want to say he wants it, it's always kineki, right? So kineki for all 6 forms. But when we're saying he wants me to eat, those command forms that I just gave you in the previous slide, those are the forms that we're using: manitlacua, xitlacua, matlacua, etc., right? So he wants me to eat would be kineki manitlacua, or in Spanish would be quiere que yo coma, quiere que yo coma. He wants me to eat. Kineki manitlacua, he wants me to eat. Kineki xitlacua, he wants you to eat, okay? Kineki xitlacua, he wants you to eat. And see, if we take away the kineki xitlacua is command eat, right? Okay, and here we're assuming that he and him, they're two different people, okay? Because this is one he, and then there's a different him, a different guy that this he wants him to do. So he wants him to eat. So kineki matlacua, that's how you would say it. He wants him to eat. If we were to change it as he wants to eat, we would say kineki tlacuas. So there it does make a difference, okay? So you have to keep those separate, you have to keep that in your mind. Okay, kineki matitlacuacan, he wants us to eat. Kineki xitlacuacan, he wants y'all to eat. And kineki matlacuacan. All right. I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. I apologize. But if it is confusing, just come back later in class and go look at the slides, and I will correct the typos, and hopefully it won't be so confusing, okay? All right, so that's Nequi. Nequi is just to want. So if you want, if I want, or the same person wants to do something, you put it in the future tense, second verb. And if the person who's requesting is different from the person who's going to carry it out, then you're going to be using the command form. That's the differentiation. Okay. But now we have something different, which is Monequi. Okay. Monequi is essentially how you say something is necessary or it's needed. And so in Nahuatl, this Monequi literally translates as it wants itself, se quiere, which it doesn't really make sense that much in Spanish or in English. But in Nahuatl, this is the verb that you're going to use when you want to say to need, or you must do something, or something is needed or necessary. Okay, so this verb acts very different from most other verbs. And that's why I have a whole lecture on this specifically, Nequi and Monequi. Okay, so it literally means it wants itself, but it actually translates as this is necessary, it's needed, it's necessary. Okay, so now if I wanted to say I want or I need to eat, this is how you would say it in Nahuatl. Monequi ni tlacuas. So it's that same future tense that we were using with Niqui. Okay, so Monequi ni tlacuas, I need to eat. I need to eat. But this, you could also translate this as it's necessary for me to eat, etc. I must eat, etc. Okay, so basically when people ask you how do you say to need in Nahuatl, there is no word to need in Nahuatl. The only way to express I need something or whatever, you're gonna have to use the verb monequi. So Monequi always goes in front, and then you need to add a second verb after. So if you want to say I need to eat, it would be Monequi nitlacuas. You need to eat, Monequi titlacuas. He needs to eat, Monequi tlacuas. We need to eat, Monequi titlacuase. Y'all need to eat, Monequi intlacuase. And Monequi tlacuase, they need to eat. So that's pretty easy and pretty straightforward. So if you want to say like, I need to have this or I need this, there is no way in Nahuatl for you to say, I need this. The only way to say I need this would be something like, I need to have this. So you would need some kind of other verb in Nahuatl to say exactly what you mean. So, okay. So Monequi nitlacuas, this can be translated as I put it's necessary to eat, but it would translate as it's necessary for me to eat. So this Monequi has many different meanings, right? One of them is it's necessary for me to eat. There are other possible translations like I need to eat, I must eat, I have to eat, or I should eat. So if you remember from last lecture 14, even in the homework, I have everything as I should eat. In fact, let me show you. Let me go into the homework. If you didn't do the homework, don't worry, but because people are going to ask me this and I'll print it. So if you notice in my homework, I translated as everything as he should help you. They should see me. We should write it. Y'all should eat it, etc. So those forms of manitlacua, ma titlacua, oh no, manitlacua, shitlacua, matlacua, those do still mean I should do this, he should do that, etc. But adding the Monequi makes it extra clear that it's absolutely necessary. It means like you should do this, you must do this. It adds that extra emphasis because Monequi means it's necessary. So all of these in section in homework 14 that I translated is I should see, you should see. It's actually more common to put the Monequi there. So even though this one, we should help you, it's ma meets palewi. You could also translate any of these and put Monequi in front of it and say Monequi ma meets palewi. And then it's extra clear that it should be he should help you. So Monequi can be there or not be there, but Monequi makes it extra clear. So all of these possible translations are possible with Monequi, and one of them is should, which kind of overlaps with last week's class. So I wanted to clarify that. The other one where without the Monequi, it's more like you're giving yourself a command. It's more like let this be the case, may this be so. Let's hope for this to be the truth. Whereas when you add the Monequi, you're saying, oh no, we really need to do this. This should happen. Like it adds that extra emphasis of you must do this. So most of the time you want to say I should eat, you're gonna add the Monequi if that's what you really mean. Like I'm like if you want to say like I haven't eaten in 5 days, so Monequi ni tlacuas, I should eat, versus oh, I haven't eaten in an hour, mani tlacua, like I should eat. Like it's less strong. Okay, so I wanted to clarify that. Okay, another thing that's a little bit crazy, you know how I just told you with Nequi, it depends whether the person who's requesting it versus the person who's carrying out the action, they're different. With Monequi, it doesn't matter. You can use Monequi in front of nitlacuas and in front of manitlacuas. They're exactly the same. And in fact, they mean exactly the same thing. So you can say Monequi nitlacuas, I need to eat, or I should eat, or etc. All those translations. Or you could say Monequi manitlacua. And those all mean the same exact thing. So with Monequi, it doesn't matter which form you use. But of course, it translates as all of these things. So I need to eat, I must eat, I have to eat, I should eat. Monequi nitlacuas or Monequi manitlacua. They're interchangeable. Okay, so Monequi can be used with any of these command forms, all right? Or with the future tense, it doesn't matter. On the second verb, you could put it in future tense or you could put it in the command form. It still translates as the same thing. So I need to eat, Monequi nitlacuas. You need to read, Monequi titlapoas. Y'all, he needs to learn, Monequi momachtis. We need to jump, Monequi tiwitonise. Y'all need to walk, Monequi inehnemise. And they need to run, Monequi motlalose. And then I wrote them exactly the same so you could refer to these later. These are exactly the same as what I just showed you, except now I'm using it with the command form. So Monequi mani tlacua, I need to eat. Monequi xitlapoa, you need to read. He needs to learn. Monequi mamomachti. So it doesn't really matter with Monequi which form of the verb you use second, as long as you use one or the other. Quali. So now I'm going to ask you, kenihki moilia. All right. So I hope that wasn't too crazy for you, but I'm about to see if it got through your head or not. All right, so let's do this. So who wants to, try it out? If you get it wrong, I'm not gonna judge you too much, okay? Obviously, I know that it's a little bit complicated, and if you missed lecture 14 because you didn't see it later, then this might be a little confusing for you, and I hope it isn't. But if it is, watch this later, okay? Quali, so, kenihimo ilia ikanawat, I need to drink.
Monequi ni tlaonis.
Quali, all right, that's one form. And then there's another form.
Monequi matlaonis. Or Monequi matlaoni.
You're missing something there. You're almost there. Monequi matlaoni, but monequi ma, who are you talking about?
Ni.
So monequi mani tlaoni. Quali. So that means I did get through to you. Yay! Because this is one of the hardest things to explain, to be honest. And even the classes and even the advanced students don't get this. So this is a good sign. All right. You need to drink.
Monequi titlaonis.
Quali. That's one form. Monequi titlaonis. Quali. And there's another form. So this is with the future tense, you could do it that way. And then there's the command form of tlaoni, which is?
Monequi ma titlaoni.
The ma is only for everybody else except you and y'all. So this is one of those exceptions. When you're talking about you, the command form is shitlaoni. So this is she. So whenever I give you a command, it's she. Whenever I give y'all a command, it's also she. But everybody else is ma. And that's the only thing that's a little bit confusing, and you should probably rewatch episode 14 because I'm pretty sure I emphasized that multiple times. And it's not your fault. It's just, trust me, people confuse this. So in other words, the command form of to you drink, it would be shitlaoni. You. So it'd be monequi, shitlaoni. Either one of these are perfectly okay. And they both mean you need to drink, or any of those other translations that I gave you. You should drink, you must drink, you have to drink, it's necessary for you to drink. All of those would be with monequi. Quali. He or she needs to drink.
Would it be Monequi ma tlaoni?
Quali. Yes, that's one of them. I didn't show it because it's the second one, but yes, monequi matlaoni, perfect. Quali. What's the other one?
The first one would be Monequi tlaonis.
Quali. Monequi tlaonis and monequi matlaoni. Either one is fine. Quali. We need to drink. Like for New Year's. For Yankwik Shiwik. Or you already did this if you're over 21 or over 18 in Mexico.
Monequi titlaonise.
Quali, that's one of them. Monequi titlaonise. Quali. One seyok, and the other one.
Monequi, wait, hold on, I got it. Monequi matlaonise. I think I messed that up.
Yes, because you have to think of, how would you say let's drink? How would you say let's drink as a command? It is with ma, so you got that part well. But we're going to say let's drink. How would you say let's drink?
It'd be titlaonis.
Titlaonise is the future tense. But when you give a command,
titlaoni, sorry.
Mhm. You add something
tlaoni.
not se. All right, so it's tlaonican. So if you want to say mati tlaonican, you're saying let's drink. Mati tlaonican.
Got it.
For example, you want to say let's learn, you would say mati momachtikan. So this can is the plural form, okay? So Monequi ma titlaonican. So you pretty much got it except that you change it to se. But se is only the future tense. Tlaonican can is the like command form. Mati tlaonican. But plural command, like let us drink. Mati tlaonican. When we say let's drink, you're really that's actually a short version of let us drink. Let us drink. But we've contracted it in English and we normally don't say let us drink, but you could say let us drink. That's really what Nahuatl is also saying, let us drink or we should drink. Wally, y'all need to drink. Maybe you had a stressful day at work. Maybe your insurance company wasn't paying for your medication. And you need to drink.
That's a good one, Monequi tlaoni.
Quali, Monequi tlaonice. Quali, that's one. Quali. And then there's another one.
Monequi si tlaonise. No, sorry.
Ah,
Monequi si tlaoni.
can.
Can.
There you go. So y'all are more than one person, so you're gonna add the can. So if we take away the moneki, shitlaonikan is a command. It's drink, shitlaonikan. So we're just adding the command form after the moneki. And remember, for you or y'all, the command form is she. So you need to remember that, okay? They need to drink.
Monequi tlaonise.
Moneki tlaonice, Wally. And there's another one. There's also like if you go back to episode 13, we would say they should drink. They should drink. It would start. You're giving an indirect command for them to do something. So the command form of they should drink would be
Tlaonican.
Matlaunikan. You need the ma. Ma is a command. If you want to think about it in English, like may they drink, this would be a good way to remember ma. It would be may. May I eat? May he eat or drink? May we drink? That's the ma. All right, so I try to keep it short and we got it to an hour. So essentially, when you want to say to want something, you're gonna just use Nequi, like I want this, you want that. But that's only with nouns. You say Nigneki at, Nigneki amoshli, Nigneki, whatever. That's pretty easy. Monequi is a little bit weird. And if you go look it up in the dictionary, you're gonna see like a little star that says, oh, this verb uses its own, because this verb is unique. No other verbs act like Monequi. And but if you want to say, I want to do this, like with a verb, then you're gonna put that second verb in the future. When the same person that's carrying out the request is the same person who requests it, then you're gonna put the verb in the future tense. Request to self, that's how I wrote it, request to self. But when the request is to anybody else, then you're gonna use the command form. I want you to do this. He wants me. They want us to do something. We want y'all to do something. All those situations, you're gonna use the command form. So that would be manitlacua, xitlacua, matlacua, matitlacuacan, xitlacuacan, and matlacuacan. Those are the command forms. With Monequi, you can use whichever form, the future or the command, and it doesn't really matter. It translates as it's necessary, I need this, I have to do this, I should do this. I forgot must, but must is another translation. I must do this, etc. The Monequi is like making it extra you have to do this, okay? Tlacuali and at, they're new words. That's why I put them there. And tlaoni is a new word. It means to drink something. Next week, I'm going to talk about agents. So all those words that end in ket, Quetl. And actually, it's going to be an intro because in order to form those words, you need to know how to create the past tense. But since I'm not going to cover the past tense until course number 2, I'm just going to give you the words, and then I'm going to give you specific ways that these nouns are used. So these would be like the words momachtiket, tlamachtiket, and then I'm going to show you how to use sin with those. Okay, so I'm going to leave it up to tlatlanilistli, tlasocamatimiac, imohuantin, nimech tlascamatili. I'm going to leave it up to questions. If you have any, I hope that you all had a chance. But if you didn't have a chance to, to do the homework, I forgive you. Ni meets, Ni meets chinistlapopoliwi, perdóname. Ni meets tlapopolwia. I forgive you. Because it was the holidays and you were probably eating and not doing anything, and that's fine. I don't judge you. I got lazy on the homework. Life happens. But if you have questions, let me know. If anybody who's watching the YouTube video later, if you have questions, put them in the YouTube video and I'll answer it in the next session or in one of those Q&A sessions in the future.
So live classes are only on Fridays now, correct?
Yes, because I started doing full-time, and trust me, being a full-time pharmacist is crazy.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're full-time.
I'm full-time. I love my job, by the way, but being full-time means that, oh my God, I have so much extra things that I got to do. More stress with insurance companies, especially today. I had a lot of issues with insurance companies. You wouldn't think pharmacy would be insurance, but a lot of it is insurance problems. The rest, yeah, the medications are not too bad. I dispense HIV medications. So yeah, I really enjoy my job.
Good.
Mm-hmm. But because of that, when I drive 1 hour to go to work and 1 hour to come back, so when I get here it's like 6, and I have to, not stay up too late, because then the next day I gotta work to wake up early. So I can only be up like 3 or 4 hours after I get here. So I don't have that much time to like get stuff done. So I'm gonna try to do all the lessons like in the weekend so that I don't have to stress out during the week. That's the plan. But sometimes life happens and I gotta do it during the week. It is what it is. I haven't done the homework for this week, but I will. Don't worry. Probably tomorrow because it's a weekend. And I'm gonna try to do the next lesson tomorrow, so it's ready for next week.
I noticed that the homework does match up with today's lesson, the second part of it, translating the verbs with Nequi. Because when I was doing it, then you could see the what's it called, like the pattern of it building up.
I have this weird ability to make previous lessons make sense in future lessons by stringing them together without a real plan. It's a talent. but next week it has nothing to do with this week, but I'm still gonna incorporate Nequi and Monequi in there somehow. That's what I like to do. All right. Any more tlatlanilistli? Yeah, I think we should in the future have a future like where we're more like it's just going to be more conversations, and we're like I want to do one where we have pictures and I give you vocabulary, and then I'm just going to ask you questions about the picture, like live. If you're ready, I'll give you the vocabulary ahead of time. But I'm thinking that would be a great tool for you to actually practice on the spot. The best way you're going to get to be able to speak will be when you actually learn on the spot to use words that you know. I mean, at least that's how I got good at it. So that's what we might do in the future as like an exercise. So be ready. And that's all
That'd be great.
Participation. Yes.
That'd be great because there's a lot of times I think I'm saying the word great. I mean, okay, but then when I try to say it live, it doesn't really come out that smooth.
That's fine. Cool. All right. Any other questions? No mo mashtikawan? Any other questions?
Askana.
No? Amo? All right. If you do, put them in the comments. All right. Tlasokamatiniak.
Timuetaset. Tlasokamati.
Mhm.